call the meeting to order. Ask Lee to lead us in a prayer and Rick lead us in a pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please recite the Lord's Prayer. Our
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Please mute your phones until you need to speak.
All right, just for our record, we're going to do a roll call of people that's here. Mr. Kirk, are you here?
Mr. Kirk,
Yeah.
Okay. Mr.
I'm
Thomas?
here.
Mr. Thomas? Thomas here?
Mr. Thomas, are you here?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you.
Okay.
And Mr. Joe?
Mr. Joe?
Yes, I'm on here.
Okay.
All right, the rest of us are on site, so everybody's here.
Okay.
All right, let's review agenda. All right,
I need to, bring up, item 12 for clarification. Kara, I want a clarification on item 12. I don't know if they have the agenda.
Yeah, Kara.
I can give it if you want
Welcome over, okay?
to. I'll take it, Kara. All item 12 is just us accepting the proposals of an engineer who's gonna do only studies. They're doing like an H&H study, they're gonna do surveying. They're not gonna develop, any type of construction project scope of work right now. They're gonna do all the studies first and compile it in some sort of, feasibility study for us to be able to review. And then from there, the recommendations for construction, if anything is proven to be effective at all, will come out of those reports.
Well, I want before I want to vote on anything, I want to know about the project. What they going to do? Where are they going to do it at? Why are they going to do it? You do a study, it costs money.
Yes, this is funded through a hazard mitigation grant.
Well, we can hazard mitigation something else if we're not happy with this.
Yes, this is doing modeling and H&H studies for the entire intercoastal in that area, all the way through Grand Lake. It's just to get the data available so we can.
So they're gonna work on, in the Grand Lake area?
They're gonna do it all through the intercoastal and study the water flow, study the depth, they're gonna study everything. H&H study, they're doing an environmental impact study, an environmental assessment study. They're gonna provide all the information for the jury to be able to review, to get a good idea of if it's a project that they wanna pursue or not. This is one of the only projects that qualified for this grant funds. So that's why we applied for it, and it took a lot of negotiating from deep.
Well, they're gonna be studying the whole intercoastal waterway from Catfish Locks all the way back to this project?
I can,
Or from Catfish Locks back
yes,
to?
I mean, they're studying all of that. They're not all of Cameron. I mean, it's blocked off right now around the intercoastal bridge and everything. That's where the berm that used to be located there, it's below water level right now. So they're focusing on right around that area, but it will give us data for the entire intercoastal.
Yeah, but what my concern is that, we're gonna pick up a project and, for what costs, my whole deal is, we're gonna spend money with this grant, and we're gonna put rock or whatever they put at berm back with, and we're gonna just send that water somewhere else.
Not if, that's what the environmental impact study is gonna tell us. If this is gonna be detrimental to any of the surrounding communities, this study is gonna tell us that.
Whose property is this gonna be placed on?
It's just study right now.
No,
There's
but-
nothing right
Okay,
now.
whose property are they gonna be studying right now? Who's the landowners involved?
Whoever's on the postal.
Hey,
Go ahead, Kara.
hey, this is Kara. The landowner is Miami Corporation. And so like Kate said, this is only a study, and they're wanting, there's a problem with the water sheet flowing, from GIWW, from Lake East. So they're wanting to, they have an existing berm out there that has been graded and breached. So they're looking from that south levee of the GIWW around Lake East, the south side of Lake East, going all the way back out to Catfish Lock, the Mercantile River. So if anywhere, that's where the water's going to be diverted or to is the Mercantile River. But this study, they're going to develop 3 alternatives. So even see if it's feasible, if it's beneficial, if, the effectiveness of it. So the I will say the landowner, has reached out to me and has concerns of the potential effectiveness of this project. But this study is going to tell us if it's feasible to even implement or not.
Okay. I got a couple of questions real quick, Gary, you might be able to answer. One, is this an comprehensive, study for the whole GIW throughout the parish?
It's mainly going to be the Mercantile Basin from the intercoastal, which is, let's see, starting pretty much at down Bridge, going east,
From the bridge?
all throughout the, Chenier Purdue, Little Chenier, East Creole, the Mercantile River, that area.
Does it go from the Catfish Locks back to the Catfish Locks or not? Well, that's just a partial, that's just a
But
partial.
I'm sure they're gonna have modeling.
I just wanna say, I just
And I wanna emphasize that here, the engineering firm is going to have a community meeting with all of you to hear your concerns, to hear, what goals you want to see out of this project, what impact, you wanna make sure there's no impact to nearby, areas, the full more water on, so before they start out.
Okay, well, that's good to know, but, I'm just gonna make a couple of comments. And the one comment I'm gonna make on this project is that we're gonna start rocking the shorelines of the, private landowners so they don't have no more land loss. And we're gonna just push the water somewhere else. That's one concern. And, my district is one of those downstream sites that it would be pushing. If you block it off over there, then the water's gonna go somewhere. It's gonna go around there
Yeah,
and
well,
make,
I don't know, there's existing cuts out there that, Miami has. This, he has stated that no cuts are gonna be blocked or anything like that, so
And
I
that's
think this project is mainly, it's not really to prevent water from sheet flowing, it's to reduce that water from sheet flowing.
and that's
So
my whole point.
This infrastructure to release, to prevent the removal of all this rainwater.
And that's my whole point, Kara, is that we're gonna reduce water on landowner that will not take responsibility for themselves, like Miami Corporation has a cut on the intercoastal waterway that goes into the big burns. And that cut has gotten, it used to be the size of a boat. The only thing could pass there is the size of a boat. Now it's the size of a canal. And they will not go out there and mitigate their own property to help with the flooding situation. And all that water goes down into the Burns, onto, Little Chenier, onto East Creole and all that way. You can put all the rocks you want if you leave that big cut open. They ain't doing a darn thing to help mitigate the issues we have in the lower part of the parish. And then, the second thing is, if they don't, the Corps don't come in and dredge that intercoastal, the water level is gonna stay higher in that intercoastal basin, in which it affects everybody. It affects East Creole, Cameron, not so much Cameron, but East Creole, Little Chenier, Chenier Pardue, Vermilion, my district along the intercoastal in Grand Lake, Butch's district in Big Pasture. That all has an effect if they don't dredge that intercoastal. And to put rocks to mitigate Miami's property and let them stay with a cut the size of a canal that'll just dump the water right into the Burns and right on to East Creole to the people in the lower part of the parish, it don't have much sense to me. I mean, look like we could find a better project for this money, than to protect somebody's loss of land, and that's what we're doing. That's all I have to say.
You make some good points, Mr. Lee, but this particular grant, you have to apply for projects to protect assets that were harmed during the August floods. So it wasn't that we just went through Cameron Parish and decided to pick one particular spot to see if it'll work. This is something that we had to prove and justify that we had enough impacts over the August flood and prior flooding impacts to show that we needed to focus on this particular area before they'd even give us the funds to study it. And what we're hoping is because we're doing this modeling and because we're going to engineer to focus on that, we'll be able to use the data on each side of this particular area to do some modeling, maybe benefit us in the future. And we don't have to invest in our own local funds to get that.
Why couldn't they study that big canal that goes into the Burns and use their resources to put some sort of blockage there? And that would mitigate more than any kind of rock shoreline that you can imagine.
And that's what we're hoping that all these studies are going to tell us. But we can't do anything without having the data in front of us.
Real quick, I'd like to make a comment. Reading the letter as much as I have, looks like the study they're gonna do is only affected on what the berm they wanna replace. Am I correct? This is not an comprehensive
It's to
study.
look at that area, correct, but when engineers start doing and getting data from one particular, then they're able to apply the same modeling techniques to anywhere else.
I understand. My point would be that we really need to have a study done on the whole GIWW throughout, not just our parish, but down as far as the issues. And then that plan, just like the coastal floodplain plan, that we have the projects going forward. And if this project got big, it's one that's in there because the study suggested it should be there.
I mean, if that's the will of the jury, we can definitely dedicate local funds to do that, if that's how you want to proceed.
Well,
I don't have a problem with doing that, as long as we're gonna benefit from it.
Mhm.
And if we're not gonna get benefit from it,
That's right.
I mean, that's just throwing money down in the coast.
Right, well, now that we had to go through this procurement process because it's a requirement of the grant. That's gonna fund this particular, but after we execute a contract, we can definitely talk to these contractors, these engineers, and see if they can give us an estimation on how much it would cost to do the entire GW like you would want. We'd come back to you and bring you that estimate.
Really? I'm not against the project in any way, okay? Lee has some good points. What I would like to do is suggest to the newly formed Mermentau Basin is that they push for a comprehensive study to make sure that all these issues are addressed so that we don't go out there and spend millions of dollars doing something that doesn't even fit in the plan.
And they are working on that too. The Louisiana Watershed Initiative, and when they segmented and broke everyone out into watershed regions, they are using their funds, they contracted with the Corps to do modeling. and they're doing all the surveying and studies right now, and they're supposed to build a database to where we can go in and plug in any particular projects specific to Cameron or specific to a watershed region, and the modeling will show you what projects affected and how affected. That's in the process, but we're about 18 months out right now. And that's something that the Corps is doing and the state of Louisiana is doing. It's not something that just Cameron Parish Police Street is doing, but
Well, we need
we're
to
gonna
have somebody.
It's in the works, definitely.
We need to be pushing the Corps to make them understand our issues
Mhm.
in Cameron Parish, so that they know up front what our issues are. And maybe they can, not just periodically take depths of intercoastal and widths and all of that, maybe do a more intense study for Cameron Parish.
Before we move on, is there any question?
No,
I
me, the
I'd
one,
like to comment on that, before we move on.
Oh, we will, real quick, Thomas, that guy up here, go ahead, real quick.
no, a meeting me and Thomason went to, I think it was me and Thomas and Barry, you was there maybe, and Kara, or a while back at the library in Lake Charles. Maybe Katie might have been
Kara, I think Kara went with you. That was, Kara, did you go to the meeting in Lake Charles at the library?
there. Yeah, that was Chad
Yeah.
Corfield and David Michael and a bunch of people that,
The Chenier Plain meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, things like that were all talked about over there, but it was brought up about, you need a levy on that intercoastal. Thomas was there too, I believe, that you needed a levy on that intercoastal stuff. I don't know about the rock barriers you're talking about, but please dig that thing out.
Well, the whole thing, Scott, is that we did so many projects on Miami Corporation that I can take you to them today, and they're not worth a penny in helping. There were projects that they bloomed up on Miami Corporation's property, and that don't even work no more. Don't even have, the parish has allocated so much money for Miami Corporation for these projects, and they do not even take the time of day to address issues like that big cut at the intercoastal. And I'm tired of giving Miami Corporation money to do projects on their property, to save their property, and not even take a step forward in helping themselves. Come on now, that just.
Yeah, me too. Hey, Lee, well, one of the things is Miami does not care about the property out there, how much water's up and down. We happen to worry about us flooding down here in the south. So they're saying, well, y'all worry about it, well, y'all need to pay for it because it doesn't bother us if the water should flow over the levees or not. But one thing I wonder, we need to go ahead and have the study because we can go up and talk and complain to anybody we want. But if we don't have no data behind us showing that, well then, we just pitch it in the wind,
No, I agree with
I
you.
would like to see, if this thing can go all the way to the top of lots. I mean, if they're gonna do just the east side of the intercoastal, that is not just for the west side of the intercoastal at all. Well, I understand that, but, this is paid for by a grant. I mean, we can take our own money and do a whole study on the whole thing, but if we get it something free, at least this part will be done,
No.
And then we can go on and free, we can do the whole thing, but, I mean, if we can get some of it done and have something done. Right, but before we get, I'm like Lee, if they're not stopping any of their canals, we're not solving no problems right now, we're creating problems. They're gonna divert that water, they slow it down, and they're diverting it straight to the west. And guess what that does to us? That puts our south side of Sweet Lake, Grand Lake, Big Lake underwater. They already know, we're going south with it. It's going from the catfish to the intercoastal canal mainly. Along the intercoastal is pretty good, but that's about 8 miles that is coming over from the catfish locks to the intercoastal canal. Well, if you fix that, the water's got to go out of Grand Chenier and out of the locks there. It's not going to really back up that much. And you look, and when the water comes up in the coast, it's supposed to open the lock to let it out, to keep it at a certain level. They don't need to be locked and shoved in and out. There's issues all the way around. I mean, we got to start right there and keep it going. Yeah, Kirk, I agree with you, but they don't care about their property, they don't live out there, so they don't care how the water gets, and I done talked to them about that, so I mean, if we want something done, they expecting the state or somebody to pay for it, they're not gonna spend that money. But if they're gonna dig that out, then the salt water would get to a different source, but it's not, you know?
Yeah,
But if we want something done, we're gonna put it right there on the north side of Little Spear Road in that marsh, and let y'all follow Little Spear and solve all that problem. Hey, that's what I've been saying, that's what I've been saying for years, and I'll be glad 100%.
and I agree with that. I agree with that, Thomas. We spent a whole lot of money on Miami Corporation property that they don't even care if the water comes on their property. Let me tell you one thing, when they losing property along them lakes, they care. They want that project there. They might say they don't care because they don't want to spend a penny on it, but they do care. When that lake of Mizare, both of them lakes are washing their property into a lake, they care about it. So, and I agree, I don't want to stop the project. And I'm not saying this because I want to stop the project. I want them to understand that diverting water needs to be really studied, because I don't want water on Lucianaire, I don't want water in East Creole, and I don't want water in Grand Lake, backing up in people's yards on a normal rain event, where once upon a time, it was like it took a flood. They took 18 inches of rain to make the flooding happen that it comes in a 2-inch rain. And that's why I'm saying, and I do agree, that if nothing else, we need to do a study on Little Chenier Road and block up everything and keep that damn marsh water off of our people in the lower part of the parish. That would be a great idea.
We talked about it years ago.
Yeah.
Before we got out of here years ago. And we need to get back on.
All right, guys, so just to keep the meeting moving, we're pretty much in agreement, the project is good. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And therefore we won't fight the project, but I would like for us as a jury to petition the newly formed group that we might have a public meeting with them, and we can discuss these issues that we have, and they can help us push them forward. So, anyway, is there any more comments from you guys? Joe?
I'm good.
Okay.
Good.
Right. Any other issues with the agenda? I didn't see much in it, not much in it.
So where are we at on the Cameron Fisheries equipment? Where are we at on all this? With them opening up and,
Daryl,
What's that again?
Darryl, where are we at on the Cameron Fisheries on getting that facility opened
The
up?
pictures?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, out there working, and stay on the agenda to put the ice and bear, there's some electric they're working on to finish it up. The operator is out there, get this finished for construction. We're up in this month, they kind of stepped it up here in the last, so, basically, that's where it's at. I'm just kind of take up as the project manager before it goes and, try to finish it up.
Sounds good. Thank you, Darryl.
Katie, before we end this meeting, I want Katie to give us an update on where we at with our parish, or as our employees, and what we're gonna do with all of that.
yeah, sure. So, right now, we have our normal operations suspended parish-wide. The sheriff, the clerk of court, the assessor's office, and all of the ancillary districts followed suit with us. Everything's closed to the public. People are working remotely on a call-out basis, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. A few people have been called out to assess any roads or signs and and patrol, in a sense, make sure everything's draining the way it's supposed to. And we've had people come in and do payroll and pay our bills. So far, everyone's been able to keep up with their work. I haven't received any complaints from the public. I don't know if you guys have received any complaints on how we're handling parish business. And I did email all ancillary districts, their presidents and their secretaries, and anyone else that's on our local leadership task force yesterday, asking them to please provide any comments or concerns that they wanted you guys to consider this morning, and no one emailed any questions or concerns about anything.
What is the other parishes doing around us? I know that, for example, I know the governor has put a stay-at-home order in place, but last week I seen the grass cutters on the side of the roads cutting grass. Their state contract is moving forward in Grand Lake for overlaying the roads, and it just seems like if the state was wanting to set a precedent of putting non-essential people like grass cutters at home where they'll stay safe, they should take the lead on that. Or it's okay, or are they saying it's okay for us to put our grass cutters back on the road? It's my whole thing is, it just looks bad for the state to be out there cutting state roads, slow mooring and doing the whole thing. And their contractors laying blacktop, big old crew out there laying blacktop, and the parish is sitting with all their employees at home not doing nothing. It just looks bad.
On the state or on the parish?
It looks bad for however you want to take it, but it's not. I understand that we want to keep our people safe and we want to keep the public safe. But if the state's going to be out there cutting grass, I don't know why our employees can't do the same. We got air-conditioned tractors. They can't be with one of them on that tractor cutting grass. It just looks bad to the public. The state's out there cutting grass, and the parish's grass is getting waist high.
Correct. I mean, I can't speak for why the state hasn't suspended their maintenance crews. I do know yesterday, Danny's missed a notification. Calcasieu Parish followed suit, and they sent all their maintenance crews home for 2 weeks as well. So, everyone's trying to do their part to curb the spread, and the state doesn't want to interfere and intervene too much into local politics. They leave that up to the local jurisdictions to make those decisions. If it makes sense for Cameron and Calcasieu Parish to send their people home to protect them, then they want to allow us to make that decision. They don't want to force anything on us, just like the president doesn't want to force the states to execute stay-at-home orders nationwide. He's leaving it up to the governors to make the best decision that for their state, because not every state's created equal, just like not every parish is created equal and every entity. So
I understand the governor's stand,
right.
But I understand too that the problem with the coronavirus so far has been next to more populated cities and stuff like that. That being said, I really wonder why the bush hoggers are cutting grass in Cameron Parish and the parish is not. And do you have a plan to restart that and what it is? Or
Yes.
I think you sent us an email, didn't you?
Yes, we are
I read the email.
We are making arrangements to phase in the employees to come back to work. We're going to start small with skeleton crews. And like you said, making sure only one employee is going to be in a department at a time, assigned to one restroom or assigned to one piece of equipment. And then slowly phase that in to where it's full crew. Yes, but I mean, I'll send it to you again. It was yesterday afternoon, but I'll send it to you again, or we can talk about it. I'm sorry, but we do have some strategies for that. One of the things that we're waiting on is we are trying to acquire all of the equipment and supplies to make available to all of our employees. So hand sanitizers, Lysol, Clorox wipes, masks. We want to make sure we have all that in hand and at every barn and at every public building throughout the parish before we start asking the employees to come back, because we want to make sure that we are offering it and making it available to them if they chose to use it and utilize it. And we're drafting a plan on different, like I said, we're gonna come back skeleton crew first, and then, and phase in having more people come back to work at a time. And we're currently, right now, running out different protocols on what you have to do in each office, how often it's cleaned, how often it's sanitized. We're trying to get some procedures in place, so when they do come back to work, we can properly train them to protect themselves and protect the public.
I understand that, yeah, and that's good points you made. I understand this much too. I don't like emails and I don't like, texts and all of that crap, because my phone works about half the time.
Got no flip phone?
There ain't but 8 of us, 8 police departments in this parish, and somebody ought to have the time, especially these department heads, to pick up the phone and say, especially if it's important as getting the parish started back again, and pick up the phone and call each police department and say, look, you know, I sent an email out, I'm gonna summarize it for you. It takes 2 minutes.
Okay, I can do that.
Lee, are you L8 at Yahoo?
Yeah.
You sent it to me.
Okay.
Well,
But no, you made a good point. Not everyone likes to check their emails and text, and I'll make sure that I call you with
like I said, it might be my phone, but I didn't get the text. I mean, I can get the email. But anyway.
I'll make a point to call you and talk to you personally.
Yeah, I
Any
mean,
other
all the
drawers?
department heads, if they got something there ain't but 8 of us. 8 phone calls.
I'm good, Lee, unless it's real important.
If you, yeah, I mean, I'll visit with each of you individually and see which one you prefer. If you prefer
Oh,
electronic updates or personal phone calls.
I'm just gonna say that it works both ways. I mean, I call you just about every day. I'll call you just about every day, just for an update, because I know we won't have these meetings all the time. And if I miss something, that's an opportunity, so give them a call too.
Okay. We definitely make those changes. My apologies. And I'm sure Danny wants to give you guys an update on everything on his side. His agency has taken the lead on all COVID statistics, updates. He's gonna be the first person contacted by the state in the event that we have a positive case. And so he wants to kind of give you guys an update on his procedures.
Danny, before you start, real quick, guys, y'all got any questions before we move on?
Does anybody have any questions before Danny gives his update?
I do have one question, for Emily. Emily? Hello? Oh, okay. Hey, I passed by this dump yesterday in the sweet lake. They got 2 of them, cow trailer and an old flatbed trailer. Are we collecting trailers now? Or is it belong to dump our land?
That is the, guy that sent white goods, parked up there.
Man, I think that'd be, get rid of that before I put stuff on. But anyhow, that's all I was wondering. That's all I had.
Yes, sir, I got the same phone call, I'm gonna go to look, see what you're talking about, but I'm gonna, that's what they need to, all my stuff.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, ma'am.
All right, well, I think that pretty much wraps up our agenda portion. Danny, the floor is all yours.
All right. I just want to make a comment about the optics of what the state's doing out there. The flip side of the coin is you got a lot of people glad that the parish is taking action that they're doing. Because they're blaming the state, like, why they putting their employees at risk? You know, so it's both ways. You got some that saying the grass not being cut, but the majority of people I talk to are glad that we're taking action to protect our employees and their families. Because I'm convinced we save sickness and life by not having anybody interact with anything else. Now, you got state employees, that's just a handful, they don't mingle in the community. Our guys mingle a lot. So I give more praise by the action that this department has taken in the sheriff's office by complying to the state-owned order and not interact. And which comes down the line, because this stuff could last till May 30th, okay?
So we're not gonna cut, so your suggestion is not to cut the grass till May 30th?
Let's finish. I said if you go to May 30th, but like I've been saying all the time, but things change, we make adjustments. Which our plan is skeleton crew. You know, when you read the email, it'll answer a lot of your questions. But I'm saying there's both sides to the coin there.
Well, I didn't say there wasn't.
No, but I know, but you focus on that side, but I'm getting more calls about that we have taken the proper precaution to save and protect our employees. There's more of that. I've heard a little bit what you said about the grass, but is grass really essential? I don't know, you know. So they don't respond to things.
Hold up.
Who's that?
Joe, I got something to say about that. I don't think that grass is that important for us to put anybody at risk. I think that grass will grow, but it doesn't bother me, and it shouldn't bother anybody else. So let's follow the president and the governor's orders, and let's stay put till this thing passes over, and everybody can come back safe.
Well, yeah, if you wanna move to New Orleans, I would agree with you, but we don't live in New Orleans or we don't live in Shreveport, we live in Cameron Parish. And our
Yeah, that's right.
president,
The governor's order says the whole state. The governor didn't say just New Orleans or Lake Charles, he said the whole state, same with the president.
well, the governor said non-essential people.
Okay, what, Mr.
The governor
Garrett?
said non-essential people, but they got their people out there cutting grass. I agree with you. If we all gonna do it, let's all do it. But let the state cut the grass and the parish not.
I can't answer for the state, I don't know why they're doing it, but I know that we have the choice to keep our people safe, and I think that's what we ought to do.
All right, Danny.
All right. The hot topic is that we still got the goose egg, I have no reported positive cases in our parish. Now,
Hey, Danny, I want to say something, Danny.
Jill,
I can't hardly hear you talking, Danny.
how about now?
That's better.
Okay. All right, in the 5 parish area, which is Cameron, Calcasieu, Beauregard, Allen, and Jeff Davis, as of yesterday, 255 positive cases reported. Now, the results you see on the state site every day at noon, that's about 70% of the actual cases out there. So the testing is behind them a minimum of 3 weeks. Now, we all heard through social media in your community that there are positive cases. I say no doubt, but I can only announce once it's officially verified by the state. A lot of people losing focus want to worry about the numbers, and if they losing focus, they need to continue to protect themselves, follow the stay-home order, social distancing, small gatherings, wash your hands. Now, I put another advisor this morning, a reminder and a new suggestion that if you're gonna be out in the public making your essential trips to the grocery store, get your gas, pharmacies, whatever, to wear a non-surgical mask. That's a new CDC recommendation now. And even if you're outside or if you're gonna be in the office where you got, you know, if you're gonna be within 6 feet of working with your co-worker, they suggest you wear a mask. And that's to protect you for spreading it to someone else, because right now there's 25% of people that are asymptomatic, they're not having any symptoms, and you can't tell if they're passing it. So what I want the public to understand is that when you see your construction companies maybe have their workers wear their mask, is to protect the community. So don't wig out, everybody wearing masks, they're just following the guidelines. You know, this virus spreads really, and it spreads fast. And the fastest thing that spreads in that disease is fear. Everybody got a different level of risk. You know, you got some that's really extreme, some moderate, some that's following, some that's nonchalant. But the thing about fear is when people become protected by their family, and they see somebody not following the guidelines or the suggestions, well, their adrenaline gets pumped, and that's why we're getting the calls we get about so-and-so not following the rules, or they're going here. It just wears you down. People, our message has been focus, stay calm, let's fight this, and we're all in it together. The thing is, we can't control human behavior. You can't. Yeah, we can control where they go and how many and so forth, but you're not gonna make them, if a man, you can't tell him how to protect his family. We see that when we have a storm. I tell you now, 30% of adults will do what they think right for the family. They're not gonna listen to the government. So if you see somebody sneezing out in public or not washing their hands, the best thing, you have to take self-responsibility and take the action to protect you and your family. So our message is to stay calm and don't panic. You follow the guidelines and recommendations, they'll reduce your risk of catching this virus dramatically. So, the sheriff, I got the sheriff department, their calls in the last 2 weeks, their complaints have reduced down from 220 a week to like 160. Traffic is down. The arrest was down to a minimum. They only made an arrest if they really, really had to. I ain't part about domestic violence because the alcohol sales went up 55%. Act on domestic calls that went down 50%, but it's going up in other parishes. You're staying home with a spouse and drinking, things might happen. But so far, we don't see a large issue anywhere. I'm talking about from the beaches, they monitor the beaches, and you do have it. Like I said, just people, when you get real protective, it's either fight or flight. So you fight this thing by following the guidelines, and if you're in any situation where you feel threatened, then it's time to fight. That's all I got to say. It's very, people get lost, they focus on these numbers, and I tell them, forget the numbers. If you hadn't been contacted by a family that you've been exposed to, then don't worry about it. Stay in your house, do what we're asking you to do, and it reduces your risk. So, that's the phone call we get, and I had a lady call me Sunday because a man bought beer and potato chips. That's not essential items. And, I'm not the grocery store police, but, they just panic if they get on there. They want them to buy on essential things. Another man called me that a man only goes to the store and want to buy a Coke and a honey bun. That's not essential, Well, the stores they're not putting no restrictions. They still selling these items. But what I'm saying is there's panic out there. So as leaders, we need to sift all this panic and try to compose a calm message to everybody just to stay calm. And I tell you, majority of the parish is following the rules. Could we do better? Yes. But all we're doing is educating and awareness to the public of what needs to be done to stop the spread of this virus in the community. So,
I agree with you, Danny. I don't think potato chips are necessary.
that was that lady, she was upset, I thought it was beer and chips.
I know, just another comment too, we may have to enlarge our parking area at our boat launch. Sunday I went out there was 18 trailers at the boat launch.
Yeah.
It was at capacity and one parked on the road going out.
You're right, I stand down, they call that social distancing, to get in the boat and get out of the water, but they're not in the stores. So now we encourage people to get outside, not to really go riding around, because we got a sightseer, the video, and sending me videos of people on the beach, and there's small groups, and it's really not a health issue if outside and let they sneeze on you, but so far, we're down to a minimum of any issue. Like I said, that we have the problems, we're not perfect, but I think our parish is doing really good. I mean, our numbers are showing it. We've had 16 people test for this, suspected, 15 negative, and we got 1 outstanding. Now, we are monitoring how many of our residents go to the Burton Coliseum, which again, is only a handful of people, negative results from there too. Now, there's a lot of medical facilities out there we can't control or monitor, but we're just worried about the positives. But this is to say that we don't have a lot of people. Give an example, last week with the South Cameron Hospital, they only had 21 people seek medical treatment. Not so much for COVID-19, but those numbers are down. So I think everybody outside that the virus can't take the heat, and it helps people. There's a lot of the mental issues that are starting to rise because people that are panicking are staying indoors. So you start to get outside in your yard, walk around, do exercise. Just be patient. This will be over. They talking about the end of May. Hopefully they'll get it down before that. We saw the numbers yesterday kind of coming down national. As far as the infection rate is starting to go down. And so I'm pleased with that. So we're on the right track, guys.
All right, guys, any other questions? If we have no other issues, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and we'll be back here at 10. 11, excuse me.
We're gonna take a 15-minute break. If y'all wanna stay on to where you don't have to recall in, you can.
Oh, hell, let's go right over there.
Just let us know, DOT's working 2 days a week.